Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book unhaul. So I have a little pile of books next to me that I'm going to be getting rid of. I do really like these, I don't know if it's a trend of videos where people go through their shelves and talk about the books and then sort of unhaul as they go. And that sort of chatty decision-making process. I've really enjoyed watching those, but I don't feel as though I could really film one of those because my space is limited. So if I don't like a book, it never really makes it onto my shelf. It makes it onto the floor or into the box where I go, oh, these books are going to get unhauled straight away. And it never has that moment where it goes on the shelves to then be able to do the chatty unhaul with me. Here is my floor pile of unhaul books that I have been slowly accumulating over the past few months. Typically, these are books that I have read and have decided that they were not for me and that I do not need them in my life and they can exit this household. Okay, so firstly I have Hyperion by Dan Simmons, the first book in the Hyperion Cantos. Me and Aaron from Booked and Busy read this in the summer and neither of us really liked it. I do have a vlog where I read 3 sci-fi books, which I can link, where I detail my thoughts and why this didn't work for me. I think it was the narrative structure and how this is aged that really didn't work for me. So me and classic sci-fi are on a hiatus for the foreseeable future. This wasn't for me and I don't need it in my life. I won't be continuing on with the series. It can go off to the charity shop where I'm sure someone will be very happy to find it because I'm sure people want to read this. I'm sure they do. It's classic sci-fi. People want it. Just, it will bring someone else joy, but not me. And that's one of these reasons why I unhaul, because I know that I can put these books in a charity shop and someone will be so happy to find them. And it's so much better for someone to find these books in a charity shop, for them to be really excited, for them to hopefully love the books and that they will get joy out of the books rather than these books sitting unloved in my house. Then I have 2 sort of mediocre books that I read for my Hades and Persephone vlog. So A Touch of Darkness and Neon Gods, this one by Scarlett St. Clair and this one by Katie Robert. I was a bit lukewarm on both of these. I think I gave them both 3 stars, that they were both fine, but I don't feel the need to continue in either of the series. I wasn't completely invested in them. I'm questioning whether Hades and Persephone is going to be for me. I feel like it should be, but I don't think it is because it feels very insta-lovey, at least in some of the works that I have read, and I'm not a massive fan of insta-love, but I just want the enemies to love us, not the insta-love. So these were both just fine. They were fine, but because they were both fine, I don't have room for fine. I have room for good and great and amazing, and not just average. So both of these are going to be making their way out of my house. Again, I'm sure people will be very excited to see these because they are TikTok famous. And yes, I do have my Hades and Persephone vlog, which I can link if you are interested in more of my thoughts on those Hades and Persephone retellings. I then have a book that I did not finish. I made it 60 pages into, and that is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin, the second book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. So I read Serpent and Dove. I actually read it twice because I read it when it came out, quite a few years ago. Then I reread it last year to continue on with the series, and then I never continued on until I started trying to read Blood and Honey last month, and I just decided that I didn't care. I really did not care. I was like, these characters, this world, I could leave it. I could just completely leave it. The reason I'm trying to push myself to keep going with it is because I've already bought this book. I should just accept that I have wasted my money, but I'm not going to waste my time because my time is precious and I should only be spending my time doing things that I really want to be doing and reading books that I'm going to love, and I don't foresee myself loving the second or third book in this trilogy. So it just needs to, I just needed to stop, I just needed to let it go, I just needed to say, I don't care. I do not care anymore about this. So long, farewell. I'm going to imagine that the first book is a standalone because I did really enjoy that first book, and I do really enjoy that first book. But that first book can just stay. I know it has a cliffhanger, I know it does, but I'm just going to leave it as that first book, and that first book can stay on my shelves. And this one can go along to someone else and just no longer grace the presence of my shelves. And then another couple of books that I'm planning to unhaul is The Women's War and The Queen of the Unwanted by Jenna Glass. Now, I quite enjoyed these. I did quite enjoy these, but it's been a few months now. So I read this one in March, this one in maybe June. I haven't felt the need to pick up the third book. I just haven't. So I figured, because I'm not feeling like compelled to keep going, I'm not like feeling obsessed with this trilogy. I feel as though these have both been sort of like 3.75, maybe 4 stars, like a low 4 stars, that I've liked them, but I've had issues with them in terms of the magic system, and this very gender-based magic system. I think there's definitely some strong elements to it, but I don't feel the need to like own the books because they're not like favourite books of all time. I mean, potentially if the third book came into my library, I don't think it will, because I think these are US publications. I don't think it has a UK publisher, so I doubt it will be in my library. And I've not seen it on like Scribd or anything. But I feel as though potentially if I did want to continue, I don't need it physically. And I don't feel as though I necessarily need these books physically either. That there's definitely elements that I enjoyed in them, but I don't think they're the most memorable, so I don't feel like I need them. In my list, I've DNF'd the series. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, really. Like, I don't think they're bad. I just don't feel like I have to finish it off. And if I don't feel like excited and compelled to finish off the series, then I might as well just say, right, that's it, let's call it a day. I might as well be starting a new series that I'm really excited about than feeling as though I have to push myself into reading the third book in a series that I think is just fine. So both of these are going to be moving along to a new home. And then prior to starting this video, because those were the books that I had, I believed, I did have Shipped by Angie Hockman, but that one I have already found a new home. That one has made its way to my friend Britt, so she took that one off my hands already. I sent her a picture of my Unhaul books, and she was like, that one, and I was like, okay, perfect, I know that's going to go to a good home. And as I wasn't like overall in love with that book, I thought might as well send that one already on its way. So that one didn't even get to be shown in the video. It had already exited the household. So those were all the ones that I'd read, but I did have a look through my TBR to see if there was anything on my TBR that I wasn't feeling drawn to, or I wasn't gravitating towards, that I thought I could potentially unhaul as well. I'm normally like hesitant to unhaul TBR books because I haven't given them the chance. That I've bought them, so in theory I should want to read them because I paid for them. I haven't even given them the chance to see if I'm going to like them. Like, typically I wait until I've actually read something to decide if I want to keep it on my shelves or unhaul it. But I do think I might unhaul these. Like, I've owned them for quite a while, and I actually do own the Kindle edition of the first book, so if I do want to read it, I do have that Kindle edition available to me, and I'm sure I could pick these up for cheap somewhere or other if I did feel the urge to read them. But I feel as though I'm just keeping them on my TBR because I own the first 2 books, like keeping them on my I will read this series because I own the first 2 books, and that's The Black Prism and The Blinding Knife. And the thing is, I feel like I probably could like this series. I could. But also, I don't know if this will ever be on the top of my TBR. Like, will I ever read this? Will I ever get to this series? Because other series just keep coming along that I'm far more interested in, that I hear much more positive reviews for, because I've heard generally pretty negative or mixed reviews for the final, like, definitely for the 5th book, the 5th and final book, but maybe even for the 4th book as well. Like, typically I haven't had the best things about those books. I've heard there's like fat phobia. I've heard, I think the female representation isn't amazing. There's lots of elements that I've heard that don't fit well with my personality and my reading taste, that I think I would probably get annoyed with whilst reading these. So although I think that the plot in and of itself sounds interesting to me, that there's a magic system here that interests me, I don't feel as though these are going to be like books that I'm going to be reading anytime soon. That maybe one day, I'm saying never say never with this series, because maybe one day I will be compelled to pick this series up. But I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. And on both of these I got used anyway, so they're not amazing editions. They are very, the spines have been cracked on them both. So I don't feel really compelled to keep them because I got them for like a couple of pounds. If I really do want to read it, I could get these again. And for right now, they are taking up quite a bit of room on my TBR because they're chunky. I just feel like we might not get along, and there are plenty of other things that I'm going to like more. So I think I think these need to go. I did do a try a chapter, which I can link, a while back, of the Black Prism, and I was sort of still on the fence about it, that I didn't dislike that first chapter, but I wasn't like obsessed with it either. So I did give this one a little try. Like, it didn't automatically get unhauled from doing that try a chapter trial, but I've now mulled it over, probably for like 6 months, and I will now unhaul it. There is another book on my TBR which I have been a little bit on the fence about, and that is The Three Body Problem, but that one is staying for right now. Like, at least I could do another try a chapter and give that one a chance in that try a chapter to see if it's going to keep on my TBR or not, because I did find that quite fun doing that try a chapter unhaul edition. So there we go. Those are the books that I am going to be unhauling for right now. Let me know if you've read any of these, if they are any of your favourites. Let me know your thoughts on any of them. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!